it's on right now.
On air mode.
Air mode, yeah. Plane mode.
Oh, I'm so happy. For the flight taking with the pilot.
First things first. Yechi Adonenu Moreno Rabbi Malka Meshicha There's so much I have to say, but I'm not the guest speaker tonight, so I'll keep it to a minimum. The first thing, of course, I'd like to say is thank you to everybody who participated and put so much effort into this entire event. And I'll be repeating his name constantly throughout the night because he seems to be the figurehead for so much, but our very own Rabbi Kaplan. 15 years ago, when we first started Tzemach Tzedek, our main concerns that we would discuss at our board meetings was a board meeting. Bored meaning like we were very bored, meaning was which basements we were going to be able to abscond in order to stuff the kids down there and establish some sort of classroom. And it was really like a whole musical chair situation where every other week or every other month we'd be shifting the kids from one basement to the next, and it was just a very, very interesting time. Baruch Hashem, we've come a long, long way. And everybody who's participated in Tzemach Tzedek on any level has been a reason for our success. So there are some people who take more public positions, and there are many, many of us who've taken more private positions, but everybody who's been part of our school has been a big contributor. So Yeshua Koach to everybody else. This building and our Hatzlacha in this building has been the result of a lot of fantasy for many, many years, and then a lot of hard work for a few years. And one of the lessons that I've learned is that sometimes taking a step in action beats a lot of talk, discussion, arguing, and fantasy. So I'd like to thank one more time our dear Shaliach. He's known all over the world as the Shaliach of India. So wherever he goes, he's known to be a Shaliach in India. And even here, people know him as Shaliach in India. But we in Chicago, this part of the Beis Moshiach community, whatever he doesn't, whatever he vacations in India, that's perfectly fine. He goes away for 6 months. But he's the Shaliach here in Chicago. And of course, we have our rabbi of our shul, Rabbi Turin, and we have the other figureheads of our community. So Yeshua Koach for helping us establish the school and our entire community. I'm going to say just a very, very brief story, very, very brief, and I think it'll serve as a great introduction to one of my dear friends, Rabbi Wolf. I met Rabbi Wolf 25 years ago, practically to this very, very moment in time. And one of the things that Rabbi Wolf helped me with was establishing myself in Monsey when I first got there. And he used to bring me to the Vishnitz shul, and we used to daven together in the Vishnitz minyan early in the morning. Avram, I want you to notice that.
25 years ago, yeah.
25 years ago. And he used to bring me to the mikveh. But before we go to the mikveh, we always had a cup of coffee.
Not before 9:30.
We had a cup of coffee, and one day Rabbi Wolf turned to me and he said, "I want you to know, Dovid," and this is before we learned some real Hasidus together. He said, "I want you to know something." He said, "This cup of coffee represents all of Yiddishkeit. The entire purpose of creation can be seen in this cup of coffee." Okay? He said, "What's coffee?" "It's something I need to wake up every day." Said, no, what's coffee? He says, "It's black, and it's bitter, and it tastes terrible." That's Gullus. Well, somebody didn't listen to the lecture. Black, and it's bitter, and it tastes disgusting. And what do we do to coffee? We take a little bit of sugar and we put it in. And by so doing, we take away a little bit of the bitterness. We make it taste a little sweeter. And what do we do after we put the sugar in? We put a little milk in. And what Yid doesn't drink coffee with milk and sugar? I mean, that's the staple. I mean, that's what we do. And he says the milk takes away some of the darkness. It takes away the blackness. He said that's what Yidden do. They take gullus, which is black and bitter and dark, and they add a little Torah, add a little sweetness, add sweetness to it. And then we add mitzvahs, which brings out the light. And in the end, we have this delicious drink. And what does this delicious drink do? It wakes you up, it wakes up your neshama. That's the entire experience of a Yid in Galus. He takes the dark, bitter Galus, he brings some Torah into it, he brings some mitzvahs into it. And in the end, he has this incredible concoction, this incredible drink that lifts the neshama and enables you to serve God properly. And with that, we used to go to the mikveh together. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Rav of Mayin Yisrael, now a famous shul in La Brea, and my good friend, Rabbi Wolf.
No, the other two. Ooh. No, a little mashka. And give me a little water too. It's good.
A little bit of water in the mouth.
Oh, that's too much.
Finish.
So all my craziness is without the l'chaim. That's no good. L'chaim. Oui. Just a correction on Dovid. Thank you. He forgot already. The coffee is water. Water is clean, beautiful, crisp, and nice. So that's the neshama. The Eibishter takes the neshama, puts it down in the world, and he darkens it, and it gets dark. And he makes it bitter. Life sometimes gives us some bitter things. And he heats us up. The body is heated up with all kinds of not the best kind of heat. The work that Chassidus teaches us is not to battle the darkness, fight the heat that's impossible, or to extract the bitterness. The work we do, abissal milch and abissal tzedek. A little milk, which is a little light, a little sweetness, and then that inedible drink becomes a coffee, which is an improvement on the regular water than it was before. That was the thought I had, I don't know when. And that's why you didn't drink coffee in the morning. I just said, no, people drink, because it's a lesson in the morning. We wake up, engage the day. The Eibishter says, you heat it up, you have darkness in your life. A little milk, a little water, l'chaim. All right, I'm good. Shkoyach. 11, 11, 11. That's today. It's the 11th day of the 11th month. And even though it's not the 11th year, it is the 11th hour. It's not the 11th year, but we're commemorating 11, 11, 11 of the 11th year. I was wondering why we're having this tonight, not last night. So I'm thinking maybe last night many other events are happening. That could be the Das Tachten, the reason why it was done, but there's obviously an Ashgacha Pratis. When it comes to Yud Shevat, and everybody celebrates Yud Shevat, but the Rebbe makes clear that Yud Shevat, and to a certain degree, is a day that belongs to both, the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe. But the Rebbe, his inyan really is Yud Alef, as Rebbe. He's number 11. And obviously, something as pivotal and as magnificent, and we can say the most magnificent thing that ever happened is our Rebbe being Mekabel HaNesius. The day that it all aligns with the 11s means that our Rebbe is deeply connected in our generation and all of us with number 11. And to addition to that, the Rebbe's birthday is also on 11, even though it's not the 11th day of Shvat, the 11th day of Nisan. So it's all the number 11. So what is significant in the number 11? And we also know that we live with the times. We live with today. So today in the morning I came in, I flew overnight, and I was groggy and tired, and they brought me to shul, and after davening I couldn't wait to leave and just go catch some sleep. But the rabbi took out the Hayom Yom and he read the Hayom Yom. When he read the Hayom Yom, it hit me very strongly that the Hayom Yom of today is that even if a Jew can become impure, but the essence of the Jew can never become impure. The Madani of a Yid can never be tummy. And it was, this is the Rebbe's first day of his Nesius. Obviously when the Rebbe is writing it, the Rebbe already knows. Everything is Beruch HaKodesh, Benavua. So this is the message. And it occurred to me an interesting thing, connected to the number 11. This idea that there is a pure place in every single Jew that can never be contaminated, that can never get polluted, that's always pure and holy and godly and connected. Obviously, that's the Doir HaShvi, that's the Rebbe, that's what the Rebbe gave us, empowered us to walk, to cross the world and connect and find that Madani, to wake up the Madani of every Jew, that Pintel Yid, that's shining. Really, if we think about it, the first one to do that is the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov is the same Madani, the purity, the simplicity of a Yid, which is the simplest part of davening. That even the biggest Lamdan and biggest scholar, when is he simple? If he's Yireh Shamayim and says Madani, hopefully, right? So, but by the time he says Madani, unless he's Cholaming Lundis, which some maybe have Gilui, it says Megalon Le'erazatayra, but most people, so they wake up in the morning, your mind is still confused, you're still full of confusion. When you're saying Madani, that's when the biggest Lamdan and a simple Jew is saying Madani simple. Madani Lefanecha, I'm thanking you, Hashem. And the Baal Shem Tov was Megala, the Madani in every Yid. He inspired, he awakened, he touched. What's the Madani? The Madani is the part of your neshama that's still purely godly, meaning it's your transcendental essence that hasn't yet, it's not your part of your human faculties, it's your essence of your neshama that's a lukus, it's pure Eibishter, pure godly, it's infinite, pure, it's that nekuda, that point. In Kabbalistic terminology, it's related to Keser, to the crown, to the Orein Soif. We know in Hasidus, we know that a neshama is taken with Chelik Elokayim Ma'al Mamish, but the neshama has 10 spheres, 10 attributes, 10 faculties, Seichel, Midos, intellect, emotion. But above that all, there is the Pintel Yid, that's your Keser, that's where your neshama is one with the Eibishter. So it's interesting, we know that the Baal Shem Tov, in the order of Hasidus evolvement, the Baal Shem Tov is associated with Keser. The Baal Shem Tov's in his neshama was nizgala, was revealed the Orein Soif, the infinite one. And the Baal Shem Tov revealed Ein Od Milvadoi. The whole idea that Ein Od Milvadoi, there's nothing but the Eibishter, comes, like we learned in today's Tanya, from the Orein Soif, from where the Eibishter, where creation doesn't even exist. It's bottle, kulaka mekalachshiv, it's not and nothing in the presence of the Ein Sof. And the Baal Shem Tov is experiencing that Ein Sof. And that's why the Baal Shem Tov is a person who's totally, completely beyond nature. He sees across the entire world like I'm seeing right over here. That's what it says from the Tzemach Tzedek says about the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid, that they can see across the world, right? They have no limitations. The Baal Shem Tov gets into a wagon and just like that, no time, no space, nothing blocks for them. Why? In their neshama, they're mamshech ebish there, and they're plugging into Keser, especially the Baal Shem Tov, Pnimius HaKeser, Ein Sof. But here's an amazing thing. We know that there's Keser, then there's 10 Sfiras, and our Rabbeim, the Alter Rebbe, Sfiras HaChachma, wisdom, he's connecting that infinite, transcendental, unknowable God to the human mind. And so goes the Mittler Rebbe, Bina, and so on. But then we have the 7th Rebbe, we know our Rebbe is Malchus. And what's an amazing secret? That Keser Malchus, and we learn in the Hasidus all the time, that Malchus, kingship, which is the lowest sphera, the part that engages the world the most, is rooted in the highest of the high. Keser and Malchus are totally one. That's why interesting, from all of our Rabbeim, the one who's the most Baal Shem Tov-like, who everything about him is Baal Shem Tov, is Ein Sof, is miracles, is like beyond whole Hanaga, the 7th Rebbe, our Rebbe. And that's the idea of number 11. Because the Aleph, 11 is 10 plus 1. The Aleph is what? The Or Ein Sof, the Ein Sof, the Keser. The place where the Baal Shem Tov is emanating from. Then there's 10 Sfiras somehow, even though there's only 8 Rabbeim afterwards, but how it works out. And then it goes all the way. And the Rebbe is Sfiras HaMalchus. So he's the 10th. And together, 10 plus the 1 above, that's 11. That's 11. The 1 and the 10 are completely fused together. The Baal Shem Tov is in this transcendental Ein Sof. The Rebbe takes that pure transcendental Ein Sof and reveals it everywhere in all of time and space. And his job is to bring about the completion of this fusion of the Eibishter himself down here in this world. So that's why the Rebbe's the Madani of the Baal Shem Tov, that there's no Jew that you give up on. There's no Jew that's beyond repair. There isn't a Jew that's disconnected. As strong as it was by the Baal Shem Tov, we can even say stronger by the Rebbe. I have a strong love for tzaddikim. I'm not a tzaddik. I know I'll never be a tzaddik, but from when I was a little boy, I loved stories of tzaddikim, and I was very drawn to the Baal Shem Tov. And then in the end, it turns out that I opened the center for the Baal Shem Tov. I had a strong, and I remember sometimes you would hear people say, when I learned in literature here, yeshiva, some people say something negative. It always bothered me like to no end, and I couldn't explain why. I loved tzaddikim. A couple of years ago, I took a trip with a Sefer Torah, which, by the way, you probably know. I'm always on a journey, Baruch Hashem. I journeyed to Chabad when I was a teenager, and I was willing to drop everything that I had and just follow where my neshama is taking me, and I became a Lubavitcher. I can't stand becoming something. When you become something, you become stiff and rigid, and this is who you are. And then there's nothing to do anymore, because that's just me. You can never become. So Chassidus, Baruch Hashem, keeps you always new and alive and fresh, and there's always... So in Lubavitch itself, I had another journey. I journeyed with the Rebbe to his world of Moshiach. And that started just a few years ago. And for me, on my personal journey, it is difficult, and I had to make a lot of leaps. And Baruch Hashem, being so scared that who knows what's going to happen with me doing all these crazy things, Baruch Hashem, nothing. I'm alive and well and happy, and everything's good. It's phenomenal. And even Chicago, Beis Moshiach calls me to speak, so that's nice. So this journey. There's always a journey. There's always. So what was I saying before that? See, I lost my. Sorry. This journey that I did now, I think connected to. Again, I'm always connecting things spiritually. When before this whole Moshiach kind of craze, I should say, came over me, we decided to write a Sefer Torah for the Baal Shem Tov. And it was a whole, and it had an unbelievable hashgacha pratis, chilling the events that happened that were involved in it. And we all done some mice. In the end, we wrote it in Eretz Yisrael, a whole story with the Rebbe Sefer, the one, what's his name, the one who Hennig was actually, and then the Sefer Torah went to, I picked it up over there, and I took it to all the special places in Eretz Yisrael. We wrote letters, but I wanted to make a Sefer Torah that's connecting to all the tzaddikim of Pnimiyas HaTorah. So I started, and I took it first to the Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and to the R Zohar, and we wrote letters after it was done. And then we took it to Ukraine, and went to the Baal Shem Tov, the Alter Rebbe, all the tzaddikim. And I went to other tzaddikim, the Levi Yitzchak, Berditchev, and so forth. Finally, it ended up in 770, the Rebbe's room, and we wrote letters. And so, especially since then, and going to these places, I felt I got it reawakened the love for tzaddikim. So recently, as part of my morning studies, which I try to do, I learn Chassidus in the morning, hopefully, and a little this, a little that, and I have this, before I did my trip, I wanted to learn about all these places that I'm going. I ordered a set of Sfarim called Or Yekaras, and it talks about all the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov, those that we don't know of, all of them, and it gives you the life stories and some of their teachings, first, second, third, fourth generation. And I find it very, very inspiring, because they have a lot of very, very empowering ideas. I'm reading about the tzaddik, someone, Reb Leib Ma'alik, really great. And one of the things he says over there that really, really struck me, He says there's three types of tzaddikim. Three types of tzaddikim. He says there is the tzaddik, all tzaddikim. A tzaddik has to be able to elevate Jews. He says, but there's three levels of them. One level of tzaddikim who elevate Jews, elevate neshamas that are not in bodies. He says those tikkunim, to elevate neshamas that are not in bodies anymore, it's not so hard to elevate. There's famous stories of tzaddikim that at night, after they finished Yechidus, with all the people who came to them, they got busy with a whole other line of those who came to visit them for tikkunim. Ramatal of Chernobyl was known to be huge in helping all the neshamas that were like floating around. They came to him. I'm sure the Rebbe had him. The Rebbe finished on Sunday with his whole line of people. There was a whole other line that the Rebbe had to take care of. Maybe simultaneously, we don't even know. Like a whole mystical world that's going on around 770 and who's coming by. We have no idea. But he says there are neshamas, there are tzaddikim who take care of those neshamas. Then he says there are tzaddikim on a much higher level. They can even help and inspire and lift up neshamas that are in bodies while they're in bodies. But he says it has to be people who are Yidden, who try to learn Torah, do mitzvahs. They're kind of already on the... And he takes these people to a whole new level. He says, but then there is the tzaddik, like wow. And though that's the tzaddik, who people whose neshamas are completely... They're in bodies, but they have no Torah and mitzvahs, but at least they have emunah. So their pintel Yid is alive, and they have emunah. And since he can connect Wi-Fi to their emunah, from there, he can inspire them and awaken them up. And he stops, and he says that's the highest level of tzaddik. And then I'm reading that, and I'm saying, wow, he's not even talking about our Rebbe. You're talking about people, every Yid has a pintel Yid, but that pintel Yid kind of was extinguished, or like the Alter Rebbe says, sleeping, not stam sleeping, but in a coma already. Mamish like out. And the Rebbe across the entire world, waking up an entire generation. It doesn't get greater. Ein Sof, this is it. Number 11. In Chassidus we also know number 11 is the transformation of Klippa. In the Ketores, there is 11 spices. In Ketores we offer Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the day we do tshuva for sins. Transformation of Averis, Zedonis, Nasis, Kazachis. It's all related to number 11. Wow. And that's what you see in the Rebbe. The Rebbe's avoid this to take the darkness, transform it to light. So that's the Hayoim Yoim of today. The Moida'ani of a Yid. Then I'm thinking the Tanya of today is very important. What's the Tanya of today? Now it's different when it's a Shana Muberes. This year's a Shana Muberes. But when the Frierdiker Rebbe actually made the year that the Frierdiker Rebbe gave the Moira Shir, I think was a Shana Muberes. And then we also made another Moira Shir for a non-Shana Muberes. That's why you know this year that Wednesdays is very long Tanya. Every Wednesday is long Tanya. By the way, I really, this is a little Fabrengen. It's not a speech. Fabrengen. The worst thing we can do to ourselves is to learn Chassidus with the attitude that I know it already. It's one of the things that happens when we do chitas. I know it. It's coming around again. What do you have to wake your soul up if Chassidus becomes boring and something that you know already? I'm not saying there's so much more to learn. There's so many memorim. There's always new. But I took upon myself this year. I said, I said, let me this year learn Tanya. Well, I took Chassidus Mevueres. Rabbi Altein gave out 5. I'm telling you, did such a phenomenal job in just explaining. And I'm going, it's lebendig. The whole Tanya is alive by me. Today, actually, I didn't do it because I'm tired, but I have to get it. It's incredible. But what does it say in today's Tanya? So I'm saying, if everybody, there's so many svarim today on Tanya, every year you take another one. It's good in Chumash, it's also a good thing. I know the Rebbe said Chumash and Rashi, but you add. In Chumash, one year you do Erechayim. It brings the Chumash alive, you're able to. One year you do Rabbeinu Bachaya, go through it. When they take it alivens, you need life, you need chayas. The worst thing is it gets stiff and stuck and dried out. Alive, life. Chodesh Shvat. What's Chodesh Shvat? Freezing cold winter, it's cold, everything is dead. And in the midst of the deadness, in the midst of that coldness, suddenly it starts to bud. Life, chayas, moisture starts coming into the trees, and it starts coming alive again, and the fruits are coming, the leaves are coming. A Hasid, Shvat, that's the Rebbe, Shvat. In any case, in today's Tanya that we learn, the Tanya of the day is, the Alter Rebbe is talking about the idea that the Eibishter, the Achdus Hashem, the Eibishter is one, and the worlds, the fact that the Eibishter created the worlds, don't make any dent in God's unity. It doesn't change the Achdus. The Eibishter is one, and Ani Avaya Lo Yishonisi. The Eibishter doesn't change no matter what. Why? Because the entire spectrum of time and space is cool. We don't even have the explanation of Chabad you're only going to get tomorrow. Today he just lays out the facts. That what? That God is not impacted. To Hashem, it's as if creation is a non-event. It never happened. Why? Because creation is only, he's going to explain. Tomorrow we're going to learn why. But today he gives just one line. Because Kula can make a lochshiv. Because by the Eibishter, all the worlds are nothing. It's as if they don't exist. Kula, that is if they don't, they're not. So he's Lavada Yehu. And Ani Avaya Lo Shanisi, Hashem doesn't change. That idea that Ani Avaya Lo Shanisi doesn't only apply to the Eibishter. Ani Avaya Lo Shanisi applies to number 11. That means that the tzaddikim, who by in their neshama, the Orein Soif registers in their neshama, Ani Avaya Lo Shanisi in them, there is no change. It's not possible to have any change. What that means is that their words that they say, Allah Ad V'Lenetzach Nitzachim, nothing in the world that can happen, nothing that we can see that Chas v'Shalom seems like is causing the what the tzaddik said, what this level of tzaddik says to makes any difference. It doesn't change. It is, and it is forever. Obviously, that applies to the Rebbe, that his words are true, absolute, infinite. And there's no backsliding. There's no backsliding. There is no backsliding at all on what we are told and what is said by the Rebbe. And that's fundamental to a chassid. It's fundamental to a chassid. I'm mentioning the month of Shvat. So the Rebbe's father says something really, really fascinating. Rebbe Leivik. The Rebbe's father says that Shvat is the month associated strongly with trees. Right? Elon. Here's a cool thing. He's full of gematrias. If you want to learn Rebbe Leivik, you have to sit down with a pen and paper or with your calculator and get ready to calculate. But he's like, I call it, every time I learn it with the people, sometimes I learn. There's a fellow, his name is Rabbi Dubov, who's done an unbelievable job. He's taken Rebbe Leivik's svarim, which are almost unlearnable, and he's broken them down into pieces, and he gave them out called Lekutei Levi Yitzchak ala Torah. And taking a piece like that and learning it, it's very geshmak because he does the gematrias on the bottom, and he explains. He has all the aras and explains all the details. It's literally going to an amusement park. It's literally a thriller. Each piece, every one, is like it's so unbelievable. It's like it's inconceivable that a human being can think that way. Where in the world does he start? How does he come up with these? And everything from all angles fits on so many levels. It's crazy. I mean, obviously you realize that it has to be divinely inspired, and then you realize, okay, it's the Rebbe's father. It's wild, wild. So one of the things he says says that Shvat and trees are deeply connected. Ilan, Aleph Yud Lamed Nun, Gematria 91. Aleph Yud Lamed Nun, Gematria 91. But if you take the word Ilan and you also add the hidden letters, which means the Miloi, Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei, so that's 111. And then, because you count Aleph Lamed Pei. Yud is Yud Vav Dalid. Lamed Mem Dalid. Nun Vav Nun. You do it together, it comes out to 311. Shvat, Shin, Beis, Tes, 311. So the essence of Shvat is Ilan, a tree. Amazing, right? Okay. But he says it's Rosh Hashanah le'Ilan Nois, to trees. So it's at least 2 trees. What are the 2 trees of Shvat? He says the 2 trees of Shvat is the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge were meant to connect. Problem is, Adam Arisha was supposed to connect those 2 trees. What's the tree of life? The tree of life is Eibishter, is Elokus. Is Eibishter, that's eternal forever. What's the tree of knowledge? Tree of knowledge is also Elokus, but Elokus, that's already a source for creation. So therefore, like Sfiras HaMalchus, there's already a source for the good guys and the bad guys that are part of creation. Toiv v'ra. Chas v'sholem, it's all holy Malchus, but it's already a source that there can be a creation. Once you give free will to the creation, what's going to happen? There will be those who choose right and those who choose wrong. So it's there's two together. It's possible. Now, Avodah, what was he supposed to do? What would have been the right thing? Had Adam eaten first from the tree of life, then he would have eaten from the tree of knowledge. He would have been able to elevate the tree of knowledge, and then we would have gone right away into the days of Moshiach. Everything would have been good. Shucks, right? He didn't do it. Instead, what happened? Ate first from the tree of knowledge, and then the Eibishter almost panics. You see, what does the Eibishter say? Stop him! Quickly, get him out of... They chase him out of Gan Eden. He puts these kruvim, these lata cherev hamesapeches, which no one really knows what they are, as frightening creatures, and they're blocking people from going to the tree of life. So the Alter Rebbe says, why? Why? So the Alter Rebbe says, because Adarabba, let him eat from the tree of life. If he eats from the tree of life, he will live on forever. So if the problem is that now he's going to die, he ate from the tree of knowledge. This guy, so he took some death into him. So now he has to get rid of it. Eat from the tree of life, and you'll live forever. So the Alter Rebbe says, what would be the problem? Problem is once he became polluted and he ate from the tree of knowledge, and that means then the ra, the negativity that comes from it, yoidei toivera, seeped into Adam Chav, into human consciousness. If he eats now from the tree of life, what's going to happen? He's going to eternalize evil. That negativity that he took inside himself is now going to get energy from the tree of life, and that energy is infinite and permanent and forever. And therefore, the power of impurity, the Ruach HaTumah, is going to live forever. So we can't let that happen. So what does the Eibishter say to Adam and Chava? Go out of the garden. You need now to detox. Detox, flush it out of your system. After you've gotten rid of it, come back. That's the avodah of birurim. You don't have to detox the knowledge. You have to detox the negative knowledge, the mixture of good and bad. That has to be purified. And that's a task that we're doing for the last 5,500 years. Right? And then you come back and we eat from the tree of life. So ultimately we want to connect these two trees. So the Rebbe's father says like this. The tree of life is emunah. Because again, tree of life is pure alakus. Pure alakus, you can't connect, understand Eibishter. Eibishter is Ein Sof. Your mind is limited. So the tree of life is Amunah. Tree of knowledge is Seichel. So the Rebbe's father says like this. If your foundation is Amunah, that's where you start with. And from there you go to Seichel. That means you bring your Amunah into your Seichel. You're a healthy Jew. You're a godly being. And you can fulfill your mission in this world. That means your barometer is not your Seichel. Your barometer, your fundamental truth is what is your faith. Then you can introduce knowledge. We look at Chassidus, we see. The Baal Shem Tov, the whole Chassidus didn't begin with a philosopher. It began with a fiery, godly Jew, the holy Baal Shem Tov, who inspired everybody with pure emunah, not seichel. Then came the Alter Rebbe and expanded the mind to be able to receive the emunah or compressed the Ein Sof that was in the Baal Shem Tov's and then Baal Shem Tov's emunah and did the impossible, connected it to the human mind. So the Alter Rebbe is the first one to start that fusion. Chassidus Chabad is the healing of the world. Chassidus Chabad is this final fusion of the Eitz HaChaim with the Eitz HaDas. Ultimately, it's going to be completed. Here's an amazing thing. By the last 2 generations of Chassidus Chabad, in Chodesh Shvat. Shvat is the Rosh Hashanah for what? Lilanis, for trees. The 2 trees coming together. So who are the 2 trees coming together? Friediger Rebbe. His name is Yosef. He's related to the tree of life. Because in Kabbalah, Chassidus, he's related to Yesod. Yesod is still transcendental energy, tree of life. The Rebbe's inyan is Malchus. Malchus is what? The world. Eitz Hadas, the one that ultimately has to fix all the das. And that's why you find you never saw anywhere by any other the Rabbeim that they were so deeply intertwined, like this, inseparable. Because you can't separate the Eitz HaChaim from the Eitz Hadas. And what does it say in the Navi we learned 5 weeks ago, Parshas Vayigash? What does it say in the Haftarah? The Messianic prophecy. The Eibishter says, take the branch of Yosef, and then take the branch of Yehuda. Yosef's the Friediger Rebbe. Yehuda's the Rebbe. Malchus based Dovid. The Karaftam Echad El Echad, and turn them together. Join them as one thing. That's why, by the way, the tree of life, which as we said earlier is transcendental godliness related to Yesod. Tree of knowledge is what? Shechina, the immanence of Hashem within creation. So in Kabbalah, as we know, they're related to what? To the Yud, K, Vav, K. So the Yud, K is Chachma Bina. What is Yesod? What? Is Vav. And Hey is what? Malchus. If you take Vav and Hey together, how much do you get? The 11th day of what? Of Shvat. Shvat is 10th of Shvat and the 11th day of Shvat. Of Chodesh of the 11, where the two Ilanas come together. And you know what else is just so amazing? I found this year. Sometimes really cool stuff because I sneak peek outside of Chabad. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I do a little cheating. You know, they yell at me always in Levi Yitzchak. So in Bnei Yissaschar is a great sefer. And he says, he brings from Sefer Yetzirah. It's cool stuff. Sefer Yetzirah, okay, from written. It says that every month has a dominant letter. The Eibishter dominates through that. That letter is the power of the month. So here's the amazing thing. Which letter is Chodesh Shvat? Here's where you see how before the world was creation, before the world was created, Shvat was already designated to be the final closer of everything, the final. Which letter dominates? Each month has a different letter. The letter Tzaddik. Tzaddik is the letter for Chodesh Shvat. Himlich Tzaddik, the letter of the Tzaddik. Now, in regards to Tzaddik, Tzaddik is the tree. Why is the Tzaddik the tree? Because we know Ki Adam Eitz Asada. The Adam is Eitz Asada. The Adam, man, is the tree of the field. Who's the tree of the field? Which man are we talking about? Which man is the tree of the field? Tzaddik Katama Yifrach. That's the Tzaddik. Now, watch this. But who is the Adam? Who's the Adam? Adam comes in three phases. Adam Arishan, who's the second one? Dovid. Adam stands for Aleph, Daled, Mem. Adam, Dovid, and who's the last one? Moshiach. That's Adam. But watch this. The Adam, which is the Tzaddik, and that's why it says that the Geula is going to come through which letter? How is the Geula going to come? The ultimate redemption. The first redemption, Mitzrayim, came through the letter Pei. Moshe Rabbeinu was how old? 80 years old. Pakait Pakadati. And this current redemption is coming through which letter? The letter Tzaddik. And where do we find that the letter Tzaddik is the name of this redemption? Because it says, Tzemach Tzamachti. I have the plant that grows. Tzemach Tzamachti. Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzamachti. And the Rebbe says, Menachem Mendel, Gematria Tzemach Tzedek. This is all. But here's the thing. It's two of them. It's Tzemach Tzamachti. Two trees coming together. And if you take a look at the Tzaddik, look at the letter Tzaddik. Look at it. It's got a firm bottom, and on the top, it has the two trees coming out, forming as one. On which day? Number 11. On the 11th month, which the number of months is the chibur of these two trees. It's really, really unbelievable. Yud Shvat, Yud Alef Shevat. Okay, so here we are. What we need to know, however, is, and this is the most important lesson over here before we begin today's talk, is that what? This is the point where we have to start with. The part that we have to start with is one nakuda. Your Yiddishkeit can't start with your mind and with your brains. Your Yiddishkeit has to start with absolute, solid emunah, and emunah in the word of the Eibishter, and in the word of the Eibishter coming through the tzaddik's mouth. It's absolute, and there is no changes. And if we go through a hardship and a difficulty, it means one thing, it means it's a test. It's a test. Which brings us, by the way, quickly to the third part of the learning of today. What's the third learning that we have today? We did Hayom Yom, we did Tanya. What's the next thing that comes on Yud Alef, the first day of the Rebbe? Today, not every year it's this way, but first of all, it's amazing. You know what's amazing? The Rebbe has two main days. What are the Rebbe's two main days? Yud Shevat, and the other one is Yud Alef Nisan. So one of them, Yud Alef Nisan, his birthday, is Pesach. Erev Pesach. It's Yetzias Mitzrayim. Second one, Yud comes out when? Parshas Boy, Parshas B'Shalach. Again, what? It's Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Rebbe's entire business is redeeming the Jewish people, taking the Yidden out of Golus. You see it in everything about him. What's the first sefer that Rebbe gave us? The first sefer that Rebbe gave us is Agadah Shel Pesach. Why did the Rebbe give us an Agadah Shel Pesach? And the most spectacular Biddush, small, perfect, on what? Because if he's the one that needs to take us out of Golus, he has to give us the Agadah. That's his first sefer that he gives, Agadah Shel Pesach. The other book that the Rebbe gave us is this magnificent book called Hayom Yom, which I am sure that one day when Moshiach comes, we're going to learn it, and we're going to see that every event that ever happened from the day the world was created till the end of days is in that book. It's unbelievable. It's a small little book. It's got like little notes, but it's like everything. Everything is in the Hayom Yom. That dosage, what a potent drop. You know, the Rebbe gives you a potent drop to live with for that day. And you need we should take it, recognize its infinite value. So anyways, it's fun, it's interesting that before the Rebbe even starts in the Hayom Yom telling us these teachings every day, what does he do before that? He gives you a biography of the Rabbeim. Because before you can start enjoying the light, you need to first connect to the source of the light. You can't have just light. You need to have Ma'or. Ma'or is the Rebbe, and the light is the light. The Chassidus, the light. Ma'or. Now, I found it to be one of the strangest things, that before the Rebbe even starts, when he gets to the now it's interesting, it's only Chabad Rabbeim, it's not Baal Shem Tov. In Hayom Yom, in the biography, it's a luach for Chassidei Chabad. So he doesn't bring the Baal Shem Tov, he doesn't bring the Maggid. He starts with the Alter Rebbe. But you know what's strange? Right, look it up, right at the beginning of Hayom Yom. When he talks about the Alter Rebbe, he doesn't say Reb Shneur Zalman ben Reb Baruch. He starts with Reb Yehuda Loewy, the Maral of Prague. And he goes, Migeza, from who? From the descendants of Dovid HaMelech. Migeza Hagiyonim, I think was the Lashon over there. Hamayuchal, Dovid HaMelech. He starts with the Maral, and from the Maral, he goes through, and he doesn't just say that the Alter Rebbe had a grandfather, the Maral. He names the 7 generations. And the Alter Rebbe is the 8th one. Strange. Like, the Alter Rebbe, the Maral was a very big tzaddik, but the Alter Rebbe doesn't, we feel he doesn't need the yichus of the Maral. He's on his own. You know the famous story, when the Mezritcher Maggid was a little boy, there was a fire in his house. And the house burnt down. And and his mother was beside himself. She was crying. And the Maggid asked his little, maybe his 5-year-old boy, he said to his mom, why are you crying? What's so mean? He said, I'm not crying for the house. I'm not crying for the furniture. I'm crying because we had a special yichus. We had a book of lineage, taking us all the way back to who? Taking us all the way back to David HaMelech. And this got burnt in the fire. So the Maggid said, Mama Venish, mother, don't cry, the yichus will start with me. So with the Alter Rebbe, the yichus starts with him. He doesn't need a yichus. But think about it. We know that the reason why David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash, so the Zohar says, because Malchus Beis David is compared to the moon. And the moon takes 15 days until its light is full. So what are the 15 days? It starts, Avram Avinu was the first bit of godly light in the world. And then Yitzchak is the second day of Rosh Chodesh. The moon starts increasing. David, the name David, let's look at the name David. Dalid, Vav, Dalid is Gematria 14. So David is the 14th day, which is already full moon, but actually the full moon is between the 14th and the 15th. That's exactly where it is, where the moon is full. So David and Shlomo, they build the Beis HaMikdash, and Hashem's kingdom is the most manifest in the world more than ever before. Okay? Fine. Then what happened? 15 generations after Shlomo HaMelech, 14 generations it took, till Tzidkiyahu HaMelech, and what happened? The light of Malchus Beis David dwindled. And since then it was never turned on again. Comes the Lubavitcher Rebbe and he gives us a book, Hayoim Yoim, and he says, we're not kidding around over here, guys. Listen here. I'm giving you the book. Realize what's happening. We start counting from the Maral, know like this. The Maral is Migeza Dovid ben Yishai. If you start counting the Maral, from the Maral Miprag starts the return of Malchus Beis David. The Alter Rebbe is the 8th generation. And then there's another 7 generations. There's 15, 14. And that's the Rebbe. The return of Malchus Beis David, the return of the light of Moshiach in the world. This is the same theme of Basi Lagani. Same theme of Basi Lagani is really there in the Hayoim Yoim. But anyway, in any case, when you're learning Chumash right now, in today's particular Chumash, what's the Chumash? The Chumash speaks about the man. And what's the lesson from the man? And this is very important we talk about. Well, what was the whole thing? What was the whole thing about eating man? The whole thing about the man is when Moshe Rabbeinu was taking the Jews out from Golus to Geula, they needed to pass through a wilderness, and they needed a lesson of man. Why did they need a lesson of man? Because what does Golus mean? Golus means you're factoring. Your life is dependent on what? On something other than Elokus. You're not realizing that your life is dependent on nothing but Eibishter. When you're in Mitzrayim, you have reasons to... In other words, you have explanations, you have businesses, that's your source of your income, your source of your well-being. Living in Eretz Yisrael means in whose hands are you in? Completely in the Eibishter's hands. You're living in open Elokus, openly, directly under the Eibishter. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu took the Jewish people into a midbar where they had absolutely no way to live. And what does it say in today's parsha? I will give you food day to day. Laman anasenu, I will test you. If you're going to go in the will of Yishmael Mitzvah, you can connect to the Eibishter. That means that what? That being in a state of Geula means that you have to be able to live in a complete stressless state. You know how hard it is to know that you have absolutely no cheshbon, how you and your family are going to live tomorrow. And every day you just have to be totally calm that man is going to come down in the morning and we're not going to have a problem because there's no 7-Eleven in sight. There's nothing around. And they had to live like that for 40 years and they got able to live in that state. Isn't it amazing that what did the Rebbe do as soon as the early sichas, what does the Rebbe say? First thing the Rebbe demanded, you came to America. What was America in those days? Everything was, you can make it happen. It's all dependent on your hard work. And anybody, you can be an immigrant, come to America, you can, with hard work and hard labor, with good education. And therefore all the immigrants came to America, they would give everything in their life to give their kids a super good education and so on and so forth. And what does the Rebbe do? Makes fun of the fun. He completely pushes away the whole thing and asks that we don't study, we don't give kids a secular education and just the Taras HaKodesh. And how? Well, man, this is America. The Rebbe says, come into the wilderness. Be my Hasid. And then what does the Rebbe do with his thousands of shluchim? Sends them out without any. It's not, there are other groups that do somewhat, Baruch Hashem. It's part of the process of Moshiach, that the whole world is beginning to follow in the Rebbe's orders. So others that are not Lubavitch are also reaching out to Jews, but they have these big donors. You go beforehand, and remember we were going to go to that kollel over there. You're set. You get your 40,000 at least to start salary from headquarters, and then you go as a group of 10 people because you're not going to go alone because then you're vulnerable completely. You go. The Rebbe sends us out in a puste wilderness without a thing, without anything. People go out there, and what? Without any security. There's nothing. And the Rebbe built an entire generation that what? That lives only leaning on who? Leaning on the Rebbe, leaning on the Eibishter, which is... So the Rebbe, it's interesting. And the Rebbe said many times, a Hasid is like a goat. What's the goat? Your job is not to think where your next meal is coming from. Your job is to give milk and let the Rebbe take care of the parnasa. So this is part, especially if you want to, and you see, the deeper you're connected to the kavana pnimis, the inner kavana of the Rebbe, of what the Rebbe is really all about, the more you have to be willing to step out of yourself and to step out of all the things that you're secure with and being willing to put yourself in a place where only the Eibishter can take care of you, meaning only the Rebbe can take care of you without anything else, meaning think about it. It's difficult. I mean, when I went and I made that decision just two years ago, a year and a half ago, to step up and give that speech, I was terrified. So I can't even tell you how terrified I was. I was so scared because I know that here I have my supporters are not even Lubavitch. There's a lot of them, and so many times I taught Hasidus for 10 years. I didn't even say the Rebbe's name because I just wanted to get people Hasidus. And here I'm going to go and stand up in 770 and with the big Yechid sign behind me, and somebody can say Wolf went off his rockers. We always were suspicious about this guy, and look at it was like I was terrified and then I said, I had to let go of every cheshbon and throw myself into like mamish walk off the cliff and say, this needs to be done. We have to shake up a little the system over here, loosen it up because we got to get Moshiach going. And I did. And I can't tell you that from that day on, I always had miracles, but exponentially. But it doesn't work there. It's not like one time you walk off the cliff. You have to constantly do it again and again and again. The more you step out of your bound, the more you don't rely on what this one will think or that one will think, and you're just doing, but not chas v'shalom with any sense of whatever of that and others. No, just with joy and with happiness, and then it's unbelievable. So back Lepoil. So what's this whole story all about? This is all introduction. So what's this all really all about? So I had this hat is getting in my way. Okay. If you take a look at the Rebbe's Basi Laganim, and we'll make this very bekitzer, but here's all the punchline. It's all in these next 15 minutes. In the Rebbe's Basi Lagani, when the Rebbe took his leadership, the Rebbe says clearly in that mimer, what's the job of this generation? The Rebbe says, what's the job of this generation? The Rebbe says there are 7 tzaddikim, and the 7 tzaddikim need to bring the Eibishter down here to this world. And the Rebbe says, V'davar zeh, let me just read to you 2 lines. The Rebbe uses these terms 2 times actually 3 times. In Perek Gimel he says these words. This is being demanded of each and every one of us. Dor Hashvi, the 7th generation, the Chol Hashvi and Chavivin, all the 7 are special. That our job is, I'm skipping here, that v'havoida, what's our avoida? Ligmoir hamshachas hashchina. We need to bring the Eibishter down into this world. Where? B'tachtainim dafka. Dafka in this low world. Fine. That we understand. That's our work. We're going to work as a team with the Rebbe. We're going to work on bringing the Eibishter down in this world. Fine. But then the Rebbe says in Sifches, same lashon, v'zeh toivim mikol echad mi'itanu. It is demanded of all of us sheyedu, that we should know as megefintzich in Dor Hashvi'i. We should know that we find ourselves in the 7th generation. Thinking about that line, what does that Rebbe mean? We should know we are in the 7th generation. Of course, it's the most obvious thing. We know there's Alter Rebbe, Mittler Rebbe, Tzemach, Tzedek, Rebbe Marash, Rebbe Rashab, Friedige Rebbe, Rebbe's the 7th. If we're Chabad Hasidim, and he's the 7th generation Chabad Rebbe, so we are automatically what? 7th generation. So why is the Rebbe saying in the Maimer, it's being demanded from us that we need to know we're the 7th generation? I think there's the most deepest, profound idea. It's simple, but on the other hand, so important. What the Rebbe is saying is, since the Shechina was where? When we start off, on the days of the Baal Shem Tov, where's the Shechina? Still up there in the 7th heaven. And the Alter Rebbe starts what? Doing the work of bringing the Eibishter down. It's a project of how many tzaddikim? Of 7 tzaddikim. From the 7th to the 6th, 6th to the 5th, 5th to the 4th, 4th to the 3rd, 3rd to the 2nd, 2nd to the 1st. That means that there is no next generation. There is no not finishing. This is the job. The job is this generation we have to finish, bring the Shechina down to the world. And that's why the Rebbe is saying Zet Toivim. Because you can start speculating. no, it's 25 years already, maybe this. Maybe we have to start thinking about the future of Lubavitch, what's going to be. Maybe we have to regroup, figure this out. How long can we go on in this situation? So the Rebbe says, no, there's no tomorrow. There's no next generation. This is it. We need to fit now. But we might say, okay, we got the job done. After all, Chabad has so much to show for ourselves. Take a look. Unbelievable. We got done across the world, all the billions, I don't know how many, hundreds of millions of mitzvahs that were done. From all Hasidim, all the time, all the mitzvahs, all the Chabad house, across the world, Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. I mean, no one impacted the world as much as the Lubavitch Rebbe. To be honest, that's the truth. That's just a simple truth. With mitzvahs, with God, with holy things, no one. So we've done it. Job is over. Done it. We finished. And now, I don't know what, maybe. The Rebbe compares the 7 tzaddikim to the first 7 tzaddikim. When Moshe Rabbeinu was the 7th tzaddik, what did he do? He took the Jews out of exile, brought them to the Har Sinai, got them the Torah, and they built the Mishkan. They didn't just fashion the Mishkan. They completed the job, which means, what's completing the job? Completing the job means that you bring the Shekhinah down, that it should be visible to our eyes. Uchvoid Hashem Mila as HaMishkan, that the glory of the Eibishter fills the Mishkan. So what does it mean? What does it mean then in our generation? That our generation, when is our job done as terms of our generation? And then we can go on to the next generation. But what's our generation? Our generation is not over until we have a third Beis HaMikdash. Uchvoid Hashem Mila as Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, that the glory of God fills the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi and fills the entire world. And we have Moshiach Tzedkenu here, B'poyol Mamish. That's what it means. So then we ask the question, oh my, that means we didn't finish. That means the job isn't done. So that makes it a little perplexing. So, but what now? Okay, so let's think for a second. In order to complete this job, the Rebbe gave us very clear instructions what we should do. Okay. He started. Tafshin Yud, the Rebbe built an army. Tafshin Chavs, it started already. Like he built. We started Chabad houses. We started Miftzayim, tanks, all this stuff. The Rebbe built us. And we Mamash built up the whole world. Fine. But then what happened Tafshin Nun? What happened? The Rebbe comes with an announcement to Lubavitch Chassidim. And the Rebbe says, listen here, not just Lubavitch Chassidim. The Rebbe is not talking to Lubavitch Chassidim. The Rebbe is talking to the entire world. And the Rebbe says very clearly, unshakily, unquestionably, that we have arrived to the time, Higia Zman Gulaschem, the time of redemption has arrived. The Rebbe is not telling us, Higia Zman Gulaschem, I wish, I hope, I plead, we pray, we think, it looks like it, based on this gematria, or based on that. The Rebbe is not saying that. And he doesn't say it once. He says it again and again and again. He's repeating it. And he says it's the year Shemelech HaMashiach Niglo Boy, that Mashiach is being revealed, and so on and so forth. It goes on telling us. The Rebbe goes so far, and sometimes I think we're either afraid to think of this or not. The Rebbe spends an entire Farbrengen. That Farbrengen is dear to me because that was my Shabbos Ofruf. I got married that Sunday. I went to get $1 from the Rebbe. That Thursday, not the $1, I went to get the Siddur from the Rebbe, and the week before, that week was the Crown Heights riots. Okay, which actually makes now a lot of sense, because the Rebbe was going to drop a bomb of like, whoa! So before that, there was like a certain tension. It has to be. I can't explain what happened then. I mean, what happened that Shabbos is unbelievable. The Rebbe sits there and is saying that since we're living before Moshiach comes, and before Moshiach comes, we're told that prophecy is going to return to the Jewish people. And the Rebbe builds a case. When the Rebbe builds something, he builds it piece by piece by piece. And everything is structured, and everything is perfect, and he's got 1,000 Mara Makaimis on the bottom, like everything, you can't argue, like it's really well structured, built up. And then the Rebbe says like this, and our Rabbeim from the Alter Rebbe is already from the Baal Shem, and the Chassidish Rabbeim are all on Nevi'im. And the Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe is a Navi, and so on and so forth. And then the Rebbe says that he is a Navi, the Rebbe the Shver is a Navi, and he's a Navi. And the Rebbe goes so far that we should not be able to make any argument that he means this and he means that. The Rebbe goes so far as to say that means that God speaks to him. Okay? If we would say it in English, the Rebbe is not, God spoke to me. That's what he's saying. If we translate it in English, that's what he's saying. The Eibishter, the Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, spoke to me and to tell you that you should speak and spread this everywhere. That what? The nevuah of the Geula. Higiyaz man gulaschem. That this is a nevuah. And the Rebbe on the bottom tells us, he points to the Rebbe points to a mimer from the Alter Rebbe, where the Alter Rebbe says the difference between a chacham and a navi is a chacham can say things in atzilus, but it doesn't necessarily have to materialize in the physical material world. But a navi, since he brings it into speech, means that he's already drawing it down in olam ha'asiyah, so it's here already, and therefore it can never change. And therefore the Rebbe says, so because of this, and of exact lashon, Fiert men sich letztens, it's the hanhaga lately to be mevate, to express everything bedibur in speech. So the Rebbe says it's a nevuah. Fine. But then what? What has not been done yet? So why isn't Moshiach here? Why isn't Moshiach here yet? So in Parshas Noach, you see that, Mamish, if you go through the Sichos, you see the Rebbe's sitting and talking to us and literally educating us. And I want to say one interesting thing. If you go to IKEA or anywhere like that where you have to buy some piece of furniture, and then, let's say it involves some kind of electricity, something that, so you build it, and then when you're done, you have to read the manual and follow the instructions. And what happens if in the end it's just not working? So you take it back to the store, and they say, did you do it? You say, yeah. He said, well, so they take the plug, and they plug it in, and it's working. He said, you put in the plug. I thought to put the plug in. To plug it in. So the question is, did we do the last job that the Rebbe says we have to do? And let's plug it in. So what's that plugging in? So it's an interesting thing. Parshas Noach. Again, the Rebbe sits with all of us, and the Rebbe says everything we did already. Aulis getan. And the Rebbe goes on. I mean, if we just read those sichos, it's like frightening. The Rebbe says, all the work that the Jewish people needed to do, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that in order for the great Gilui of Moshiach, it's going to take thousands of years of work. Maseinu v'avodisenu, kol zman meshech hagolus. All the period of exile, we have to do a lot of work, and that work will translate into what? Into Bias HaMashiach. So the Rebbe says all the Torah mitzvahs that we needed to do, we did already. What didn't we do? Oh, 1 second. So. And all the birurim, whatever avodas habirurim, we spoke earlier about the eitz hadas, we have to separate the good from the bad. We've done that. And therefore the Rebbe says an astounding thing. Doesn't mean that people don't have any personal issues to fix. One of the most stunning things I believe the Rebbe has ever said. The Rebbe says all the personal things that we still have to work out within our own character, within our own self, the Rebbe says has nothing to do with the overall project of bringing Moshiach. That's your own business. You should probably clean up house before Moshiach comes, or get it done quickly because it's happening. But that's your private thing. For the work of Moshiach that needs to come, only the Lubavitcher Rebbe can say that. Which human being can tell us such an information? That everything has been done. The Rebbe says the only thing now, it's dependent only on Moshiach Tzedkenu. Now here's the amazing thing. I didn't hear this from the Rebbe's ears, but these are mugadik sichos. You can read them inside and listen to it. And the Rebbe says it's dependent only on Moshiach. That what? That Moshiach now needs to reveal himself. So that doesn't mean that we all go to sleep. That means that we need to do a special avodah to get Moshiach to reveal himself. A special avodah that we need to do to get Moshiach to reveal. So what is that? So the Rebbe says we have to go do Kiddush Levana. Kiddush Levana. Now, come on, we were expecting something like climbing a big cliff or something like that. The Rebbe says, no, it's pretty simple. You can do Kiddush Levana. Kiddush Levana, the Rebbe says we should make sure that we're dressed well, and we should do it Behidur, and Beroiv HaMadris Melech, and if we were so make sure Kiddush Levana. What's Kiddush Levana? So the Rebbe explains. Now what? Kiddush Levana is going to greet the Shechina. You're going to be Makabel the moon is a Shechina, and that is Malchus Beis David. You have to go greet Dovid Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim, we say Pama. And the Rebbe says, like it says in the Pasuk, the Rebbe brings a Marsha and all kinds. It says over there, Uvikshu es Elokeim, that's Dovid Malka. It says a prophecy that they're going to seek out the Ebershter and Dovid their king. They're going to seek out God and Dovid their king. So, it doesn't take too much work. Let's see this book. Good old Navi. Okay, it's not good old Navi, right? What does it mean? In Hosea, it says the pasuk in Hosea Gimel, the last pasuk. It says, it's amazing. Achar Yoshuvu b'nei Yisrael, after the Jewish people will return. This is returning, talking about the end of days when Jews will return to Israel. I think this has already mostly been fulfilled. Eretz Yisrael is completely rebuilt. We have a problem a little bit in East Jerusalem and in the West Bank and Gaza here and there, but soon we'll clean it up. And what? And Achar Yeshuva b'nei Yisrael, after the Jewish people will return. Uvikshu es Hashem alikeim, they will seek Hashem. There's Dovid Malka and Dovid their king. Let's take a look what Rashi says. Rashi says, Omer Reb Shimon bar Yochai. Reb Shimon bar Yochai says, there are three things that the Jewish people rejected. Who did they reject? In the days of Rechavam, the son of Shlomo. They rejected the Ebershter's kingdom. They rejected Malchus Beis David, the kingdom of David, and David HaMelech, and they rejected the Beis HaMikdash. Omer Reb Shimon ben Menasya, that's from Reb Shimon bar Yochai. Reb Shimon ben Menasya says, Ein marin simin tov li Yisrael. They will not show a good sign for the Jewish people until they will request these three things. They have to request and ask for the Ebershter's kingdom, evikshu es Hashem. In a sense, evikshu es Hashem alikeim happened already. The thousands of Baltshuva seeking God. That happened. Now the next thing is they have to seek Dovid Malka. So from who do they have to seek Dovid Malka? From who do they have to go seek out David? Simply daven to the Ebershter, as Tzemach David Avdecha. No. Look in Mitzudais. Mitzudais, David says, they're going to seek out David Malcolm. Hold on, let me get the Mitzudais here. V'gam yevakshu es melech ha-Moshiach. They are going to plead and ask Melech ha-Moshiach. Why does it say they're going to ask David? Because Haba mizera David. He comes from David. The umeimoi, and from him yevakshu. They're going to ask him. Sha'alosam their request. What's the request? Please be our king. Kihu yimshol behem, that he should rule over them. So the Rebbe is telling us, you got to do Kiddush Levana, guys. Did you get it? Got to do Kiddush Levana. Vikshu es alikeim is David Malcolm. And if we didn't get exploded immediately right then and there to really catch on what the Rebbe means, so the Rebbe continues, Parshas Vayera, 2 weeks later. What does the Rebbe say? It's a sichus. The Rebbe says that being that in every generation there is already Moshiach, and there's a Moshiach potential every generation. And the Chassam Sofer says that Moshiach, when he's going to be notified from the Eibishter that the time to redeem the Jewish people has arrived, he's finally going to get that notification. And since in our generation, the Rebbe brings from the Friediger Rebbe, and again, I would quote it, but I don't want to take so much time. The Rebbe says that since in our generation, we finished all the work. So it comes out that in our generation, we have already the existence of Moshiach. We have already the existence of Moshiach. Not only do we have the existence of Moshiach, but we even have already the Hisgalus of Moshiach. That means Moshiach is already revealed. The only thing left, the Rebbe says in that stunning Sicha, Parshas Vayera Nun Beis, again it's Mug, it's printed, is the Hiskashrus of the people to the Melech. They need to bond with him. They need to connect to him. And if that wasn't enough, the next Shabbos, the Rebbe has a major company, how would you call it? A company, rebranding. No, not rebranding. I would say rebranding. A company, no, when you get together, all the people, a convention. There is a company convention. And the Rebbe has all of his generals sitting in the room. Everybody. Thousands of shluchim come to Crown Heights sitting with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe is sitting and speaking to his shluchim. The Rebbe bint up the entire world, but these are his shluchim. And the Rebbe says to them, like this, recently, there is a shlichus update. Like the Mamash these words, there's an update. There is a new download in Avodas HaShlichus. You guys have been doing whatever you're doing. That's fantastic. I'm very proud of everyone. But now, there's an update. There's the next thing we need to do. What do we need to do as shluchim? So the Rebbe goes on. First of all, it's just fascinating, the whole Sikha, how the Rebbe explains what shlichus is and so forth. It's so powerful that if chas v'shalom, I know this is the stupidest stupidest thought that someone can even think. But I'm afraid that chas v'shalom, it's possible that someone, because we have such a hard time to deal with these sichos, someone might think that maybe the last 2 years the Rebbe is already like getting a little bit confused. Chas v'shalom, he wants so much Moshiach, and so forth. He's saying things. But if you learn the sichos, you see these are brilliant, Sheba brilliant. It's just if I'm a stupid stamp, I'm sorry even for having to say it, that you see this is pure alakus. The biggest giluyim are happening in those sichos. And Pashut brilliance, how it's built up. And what does the Rebbe say? The Rebbe says like this, that now, what's the avodah? The Rebbe says that being brings again the Chassam Sofer, and the Rebbe says being, this I have to read inside. This I have to read inside, so that no one should think that I'm making this up. This is really, really unbelievable words. Here, and then Parshas Chayesara. In Dasas al Pi Yedua that in every generation Noilad Echad Mizera Yehuda, who's Ra'i to be Moshiach, one who's Ra'i from his Tzidkasei to redeem, Val Pi Haidas Kvoid Kedushas Admor, who is the only Shliach in our generation, the only Moshiach in our generation, that we finished everything, is verstandig, as a häupt sich on Mekuyim zu werden. I think if I said one thing this entire night, it's the next 5 lines. The Rebbe says it started already to be fulfilled, shlach no b'yad tishlach. That means that Moshiach has already begun to be sent by the Eibishter. Not only to be sent, but he begins his shlichus. The shlichus from my father-in-law, and anybody that knows anything about the Rebbe's words, him and his father-in-law, like we spoke earlier, are totally one, him and the Friediger Rebbe. In der Funnis movement, it's understood as the einzigste Zach, was is itztig geblieben, the only thing that we do now, in avodas shlichus, is to mekabel sein penei Moshiach tzedkenu bepoyel mamish. We need to go receive Moshiach, be mekabel it. Why, does the Rebbe say? Why do we have to do that? And what does it mean mekabel? Well, we just saw it means mekabel. It says in Navi, what means mekabel? We have to go, why? Let's explain something. When Dovid HaMelech became a king, Dovid HaMelech was anointed by God to be a king. The Eibishter sent Shmuel HaNavi to anoint him. Yet Dovid HaMelech did not become king, literal, actualize his kingdom. Until when? Until in Shmuel Beis it says, Perek Hey, it says that the Zekanim of all the Yidden came and they said to him, we are your flesh, we are your blood, we are your bones, and therefore now, please be king over us. Then he can become king. That means Mekabel the Melech. Like the same thing we did when, let's go back, in Tav Shin Yud, no, all the way back. In Tav Shin Yud Alef, when the Rebbe wasn't interested in being Rebbe, we kept on sending him again and again, Ksavis Kashrus, and asking him and pleading him, please be our Melech. We did it again and again and again and again, until finally, first he declined, and again he declined, and finally he relented, and he became the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So the Rebbe is saying, Medaf Mekabel Zayin Pnei Moshiach. But he says, why? And this becomes a little bit of a sticky subject, because people always tell me, and I'm for myself, I understand we have to learn about Moshiach, I understand the Rebbe wants us to live in Moshiach, I understand all these things, but why do we have to identify somebody? Isn't it so much easier if we don't have to deal with such a sticky thing? It makes Lubavitch so uncomfortable. Come on. Why do we have to do that? Why do we... Just, I wish this wouldn't be a problem. We would all love it. We would all be one big family. We are one family, but we wouldn't have all these issues and all this stuff, and no one would be bothering us. Why do we need this? Why did Chabad need this? Well, I don't know what to tell you, but poor Rebbe, what is he saying? What is he saying? He says, you know why? He says, why do we have to do it? He says, because today that he should be able to complete his job to redeem the Jewish people out of Roisnem and Yidden Fingalis. He can't do it. Why can't he do it? Because for him to do it, he needs to be a king. Rambam says, Yamoid Melech. That a king will get up. If he's not a Melech, he's not a Melech without us. There's no Melech without the people. So you need to come to me, the Rebbe is saying it, and he couldn't have said it clear in this. The only problem is, the only thing he can't say is, I am King Messiah, come and give me a crown. That's the only thing he can't say. Don't you understand that? So he says to us, Yidden, please, chapsach, what happens? Moshiach is in pain. He's suffering. Because our pain is his pain. It's one heart. And he feels our pain a gazillion times more than anybody else. And he's saying the time has come for the redemption to happen. But we need the people to accept the Melech. Wow. And then we started getting it. And then at a point. But then of Tzelaches, and this is Maisa Sutton, and not just Maisa Sutton, this is part of the plan, obviously. Right after these sichas, right after these stunning sichas and stunning revelations, the Rebbe catches one stroke, and then a year later he has a second stroke, and then we end up with Gimel Tammuz. And it suddenly sends us all on a... We're suddenly thrown off and confused. We spoke earlier, the last job that Rebbe told us was, we have to plug in. Everything is here already. The Melech is here. The work is done. The Giyul is about to happen. I need a people. I need people to crown me as Melech, meaning, Rebbe, he doesn't say crown me, he's not talking, he's saying it, but without saying it. By the way, I just want to say an interesting thing. There were answers from the Rebbe during that time, and everybody knows this, where the Rebbe told people that wanted to go out and make noise about this kind of not to do it, when questions were asked. Now, in the earlier years, of course, there were much answers like that, and the Rebbe stopped it very strongly. But in the later years, the Rebbe said these sichas. So the Rebbe, it's very strange. The Rebbe is like, it's almost like contradictory. On the one hand, I remember living through those days. The Rebbe is pouring kerosene on this whole messianic fervor in Chabad. If we kind of caught our breath and we little calmed down, and if one Shabbos the Rebbe kind of did not go there so much, came the next Shabbos and there was double dose of kerosene. Bang, bang! And suddenly 770 is like on fire. And like, it's crazy. The Rebbe's, no one can argue that the Rebbe is fueling this fire. And at the same time, Chassidim are like, we're going crazy because we realize what he's saying, if you learn what you're hearing, but at the same time, oh my, this is terrible. This is not good for Chabad, no. This is the worst thing we can do as Lubavitch. We're going to mess up everything because people say we've gone cultish, we've gone nuts, we're totally... You realize it's a serious problem. So, and the Rebbe like kind of stops it, and you're going... What's he playing with us? He's teasing us? I want to ask you a silly question. In Tafshin Yud, or in Tafshin Yud Alef, you know that the Lubavitcher Rebbe dressed, our Rebbe dressed in more modern clothing. The Rebbe is very sharp looking, right? Young. And he's dressed mamish. He doesn't look like Chassidish Rebbe anywhere like all the Rabbeim. He's very... Not only that, he went to college and Imagine if when Chassidim, there's a group of Chassidim, we're trying to get the Rebbe to be Rebbe. And 2 or 3 Chassidim go into the Rebbe and they say, we're doing pretty good with Afatzas Amayanis. Chabad is beginning to get recognition. The Friedrich Rebbe got us into Polish places. The very notion and talk that you might be the next Rebbe, it's not good for the Chassidish Williamsburg world and for the other world. People are saying, I'm a Dana Rebbe like this. He wears a short jacket, a gray hat. Went to college. It's ruining. It's having a negative impact on Afatzas Amayanis. Do you think for 1 second the Rebbe would say, just ignore them, just keep it. The Rebbe would say Chas v'shalom, because again he doesn't even want this whole business. He doesn't need it. Doesn't want it. We're asking him to become Rebbe. Of course he's telling you, it's the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do is, Rebbe, we want nothing else but the fact we know you're the one, you did the job, we know you're the one worthy. That's all you're going to say. If you start telling him that by saying that, it's actually ruining the whole Chabad project, he's out the door, for sure. So don't you realize that it's mamish the same thing? If let's ask the Rebbe, you know what, it's not good, this is not good, it's giving a bad name to us, this is real, of course the Rebbe's going to, don't do that. But at the same time, the Rebbe is telling us, Sicha after Sicha. So we had this darkness and the spin, but here's the most important thing. Chas v'shalom. We don't have to stay in this. We can recover. It's okay. So we said earlier, it's Doira Shvi. Till we get the job done is Doira Shvi. The work is not being Chas v'shalom aborted. It's not possible. We have a nevuah. Hagiyaz mangulaschem. Everything is here, but the Rebbe needs a people. The Rebbe needs a people. So what now? So there's two things that we need to know, if I can conclude. Number one, shouldn't it make sense that the most crucial moment in history is going to come with an Isayan, with a test? Who would have expected that if going out of Mitzrayim came with a test, some Jews didn't want to go out. And then when going to Matan Torah came with another test, and afterwards the confusion with Moshe Rabbeinu also going up and not coming down. And then we had by the Marag, like, there's constantly tests. Every important moment comes with a test. So of course, this is the final work of the Jewish people, the Makkah B'Patish. Of course it's going to come with a big test, a huge test. But another thing we need to consider, it has been told to us, we're in Rabbeinu Bechaya, in Ramban, two very legitimate sources. Everybody agrees. You don't have to be Chabad. You don't have to be even Hasidish. You can be good, Litvish, hardcore, Misnagdish. You're perfectly, Ramban, Rabbeinu Bechaya, legitimate. Okay, Rishonim. They say in the end of Parashat Shemos, Moshiach is Nigla, he's revealed. The Nichsa, he's concealed. B'chayzav Nigla, he will reveal himself again. So you say, why? Same like Moshe Rabbeinu. Was revealed, was concealed, and then came back again. But you say, come on, that's 6 months. And it wasn't like there was a Gimel Tammuz. It wasn't that we had a funeral. It was what? That he skipped down a little bit. And here we're dealing with, we had Gimel Tammuz. It's 25 years later. How can you compare? So first of all, the Geula now is infinitely greater than that Geula. So the Nisayan is greater. Number two, the Golus then was a tiny Golus. 200 years. This Golus has been 10 times, close to 10 times longer. So the Helen Vehester that comes in the middle, if it's 10 times longer, I'm not justifying it. I'm just looking at this. See, I've been through all of this. For 20 years, I didn't touch the subject because it caused me too much pain. I lived believing at those moments that for sure, there was no doubt, Moshiach is coming. Then I numbed it. The reason why I numbed it is because I learned the Sichas, and I didn't have an answer. I had a kasha. There's two kashas. You know what the two kashas are? Kasha number one is Gimel Tammuz. Kasha number two, question number two, is 25 years. Two kashas. But the answer can be two answers. I can either start chopping off sichas and start cut in Chabad. I have to ignore Tafshin Nun Beis completely. I probably have to ignore Giyaz Mangul Laschem as well. Because at the time of redemption is arrived, who is Moshiach? If I believe, no, the time of redemption is arrived. But for whatever reason, it's not Lubavitch Rebbe, because Gimel Tammuz happened, so it can't be him. So where is he? Anybody have any ideas? Is he some kind of Moshiach like Mary Poppins flying from the sky with an umbrella? The Rebbe didn't teach us that. There's a possibility in Torah thought that Moshiach comes out of the sky, but the Rebbe always followed the Rambam, that there's someone who will do the work of getting the Jewish people, that whole thing. The Rebbe, and once you believe already in that, then it might as well be the Rebbe already. You know what I'm saying? Once you believe already that's coming. If you believe that what? It's someone what? Maybe someone who is now going to, the only one who has the infrastructure to influence the entire Jewish world is only Lubavitch. So who's going to be this new Moshiach? I sometimes was trying to, in my own head, I'm trying to think, what's the philosophy? What are we believing? If I don't believe that everything is true and I'm trying to find another philosophy, I don't have anywhere to go. Unless I have to cut the Giyaz Mangul Laschem as well. And say that, okay, but then what? But hold it, but what's with Basi Lagani? The 7th generation, the 7 wants to finish the job. Say, well, it was officially on the agenda, but we kind of didn't get to that. The whole thing lost its neshama. The whole Chabad Chassidus lost its soul, its whole energy, its whole purpose. That's if I want to give that kind of a teretz. I have to deal with every question. And but let's go away from that and look at the other way. Say like this: Everything the Rebbe told us is emes v'yatziv, 100% true. 100% true. We could have gotten it done then if we plugged in then. We didn't. And maybe we had to go through this. Maybe we had to go through this darkness. There's one answer to what's going on. This is the test. It answers everything. There is a test right before Moshiach comes. And even though it's 25 years, there's a pasuk in Daniel. When I saw this a few weeks ago, it really changed everything for me. There's a pasuk in Daniel where it says, Ashrei hamechake. How fortunate are those who are going to wait it out. Is a sign that it's not so simple to wait it out. Ashrei. But Rashi says, simply you learn, fortunate are those who are going to make it to the end of exile. It's been 2,000 years. No, Rashi says, the hardest time of exile is going to be a certain amount of years. I'm not quoting Rashi because I don't want to say chas v'shalom the amount of time Rashi says. But Rashi says in a certain, it's more than 25 years. The Rashi says a certain period of time that sha'asid mishichenu, that our Moshiach is going to be hidden after he's revealed. And Rashi says, fortunate are those who are going to have still determination. Who are going to have a munah that's not broken. Because that's the emes. And that answers everything. So I don't have to erase not one word in the sichos. Everything is true. Everything is emes v'yatziv. The geula is about to happen. The Rebbe needs us. And I want to conclude with a fascinating story. It's such a fascinating story. It just happened 6 hours ago. Here's the story. Last night, I flew overnight. I went and I didn't get sleep. A little bit on the plane. They were very nice over here. They really treat me. They got me a first class ticket. So that's really, first of all, I'm looking forward. I love sitting in first class. Generally, I never do that, but once in a while, someone got me twice already. Tzemach, the best part of first class is not even, it's when you sit there first and everybody's walking by. There's something about it, and you're like sitting, you make me believe you're not looking at them, but you're not looking at them. So, I was very disappointed because it was just a big seat. It was a grandma's recliner that you remember, and it was nice big, but it didn't. I remember when I flew from Los Angeles to New York, and my brother-in-law got me a first class seat. It's like one of those that you're like your whole, and you go to sleep. That's something, but this was nice. Anyways, I got to sleep a little bit. Then I came here in the morning, and then I davened with the minyan, and then I went home, and Dovid made me really good eggs. If you want good eggs for breakfast, he's got an art. Sunny side up with fried onions. Together, I go scrambled eggs with scrambled, but sunny side up with scrambled, it's good. Anyways, after that hearty breakfast, I was so tired, I went downstairs. It's amazing how dark it is in the cellar there. So I went, and there's wine bottles there. I fell asleep. Now, we and the Feldmans go back a long time, okay, from Muncie. We're friends. Mostly people call me Reuven Wolf, Rabbi Wolf. But on the way back then, my nickname, being that I'm Reuven, and Reuven is in Hasidish Yiddish, it's Reuven. So I grew up as Reuven, right? Reuven Wolf. But in family, it's Revi. So I'm always Revi. My family calls me Revi. The one other person that calls me Revi is Merrill Feldman. I'm sleeping deeply, 12:30, and suddenly, bang, bang, Revi, wake up! The kids are waiting! I jumped up like a meshugana. The kids are waiting! I was supposed to go speak for the children. And she says these words, the kids are waiting! I jumped up. I was never so quickly out of bed. I came rushing up. How can I let the kids wait? The kids are waiting. The Moshiach came 27 years ago. He took a look. We weren't exactly ready. He went to take a nap. And that's the truth. Not that chas v'shalom the Rebbe is asleep. The Rebbe is running everything in Lubavitch. But the Moshiach element in him went to take a nap. We need Merrill Feldman to knock on his door and say the kids are waiting. But we need to wait. We need to wait. And waiting means we need to be ready to receive him and excited to receive him. 2 days ago, I launched a crazy campaign. Shtus Kedusha. I got this nerve early morning, Wednesday morning, a mishigas in my head. And I said, hey, if all this is true, and this is what it is, we really need to get all Jews to sign up for the Rebbe. It was very hard to do it till now, but now with the petitions that go online, we can really get this thing done. So I spoke, and basically what I said here today, I gave over in a 25-minute video. Just got the main points. I didn't do the first 45 minutes, but just the last 20. About the Rebbe's and leadership generate and what the Rebbe said needs to be done. And I spoke that video, and I said, you know what? And we created a website, and it's taking out all the stuff that kind of have already created, for whatever reason, people are irritated by, like sentences that some people, for whatever reason, can't handle. And so it's said very softly and nicely, but basically it says the Jewish people have been waiting for thousands of years, boom, 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 boom. And the time has come, and thousands of people believe that the Rebbe is the only one who can take us out of Golus, so on and so forth. So therefore, we are here petitioning the Rebbe. And I also bring the Rebbe's Sichach Samach Shana, where the Rebbe says that the Chassidim have to give life to the Rebbe. Again, so that's the whole thing. Sign over here if you want to be, and we're going to take this and give it to the oil. And here's two just amazing things that happened since then. And I said I'm going to launch this. If I ever put myself out, like on a limb, this is it. Because till now I avoided like explicitly saying, I always dance around the bush. But now, it's already, this Moshiach stuff, it grows on you if you learn it. It gets to you at a certain point, and it just completely overtakes you. So I said, okay, fine. So we made this thing, and I sent out this video last night, and it says, and the beautiful thing is it says, sign your name, your mother's name, doesn't even have to say who your last name is, so no one has to know who it is. And let's get thousands of signatures, and let's bring it to the Rebbe. So I was overly excited at that point, and I thought, I send this out, this will go viral, boom, we'll get thousands of signatures, we'll bring it to the Rebbe ready, Yud Alef Shevat, some of them, a few hundred at least, and then the next one we'll bring Tu B'Shvat, let's try to get a few thousand. And then we'll have, okay, it's going a little slower, but right after I launched it, I came here. So I didn't get a chance to move it, but we're getting signatures. They're coming in, and people that I told that I'm not, people who put their last name, and I'm surprised that people like that sign. It's like amazing. But when I was ready to do it, and make this video, I suddenly got terrible cold feet. And I said, you Meshuggah know what you are, you nutcase what you are, you're crazy. Oh, brother, you just felt the race. Who even says this is the right thing to do? How do you even know? And I said, Eibishter, please give me a sign. Please give me a sign. And I said to myself, usually I get so many answers from the Rebbe, ask the Rebbe. I said, what kind of stupid thing is this to ask the Rebbe? I mean, we're talking about, should we coronate you? I mean, is there anything lousy or is there anything more distasteful? If you want to do it like a mensch. Don't come to me and ask me. I said, I'm not asking you. Then I said, who else can I ask? Maybe we try opening up a sefer on the Alter Rebbe, but they can't do that because the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbe, it's one malchus, it's one kingship. Can't do that. Out of nowhere, I had this crazy idea. Let me ask the Barditchever. Why? Why the Barditchever? Why is it was mich eingefallen? I'm going to ask Rebbe Levi Yitzchak of Barditchev this question. So I said for two reasons. Number one, again, this is happening in my mind in a split second. I said, Rebbe Levi Yitzchak loves Lubavitch. That's number one. He's always been protecting. He loves Jews and he wants the Golus to end. He's a good. But there's one more thing. He's into this shtick of opening books. Why? The Rebbe, we know, he operates with this business because he's running the whole world through Igris. The Rebbe is taking care of the whole world. People are getting answers. But who says Rebbe Levi Yitzchak or Barditchev does that? Who says you can use that with him? So I remember the story when the Alter Rebbe was arrested. The Alter Rebbe quickly dispatched the shliach to Barditchev to go tell the Barditchever that he's in trouble and that Barditchever should daven for him. When they give a bracha or whatever, when he got to the Barditchever, the man forgot the Alter Rebbe's mother's name. The Barditchever opened up randomly a book, Chumash, and it says, Vayar Yaakov ki yashever b'Mitzrayim. Shever is Rosh Tevis, Shneir ben Rivka. So I said that. I said, the Barditchever is into this. No, the truth is I didn't say it in this. I mean, the process was a split second. I was very nervous. I was very scared, very uncomfortable. And I walked in from the kitchen in Man Yisrael. You know where that is. I was in the kitchen in front of the refrigerator because I'm always noshing when I get nervous. That's why. And then I said, okay, let me go right now. And I walked into the shul and I bought a new set of Kedushas Levi recently. I told you I'm into the tzaddikim. So recently in Eretz Yisrael, they redid all the Svarim HaKadoshim. They've done such a beautiful job. It's great. So I went over to the Barditchever and I just pulled out the sefer. I have to say I didn't cry in a long time, but when I opened up this book, I almost fainted. I didn't look here. I didn't look there. I went right to these. I mean, my eyes just went on a paragraph. I have over here, I asked him to bring me a Kedushas Levi. Parshas Vayetze. He probably doesn't talk about this anywhere else in the Sefer. He's talking about why Yehuda was named Yehuda. So he says like this. He says that hold on, here we are. What's midas hamalchus? The attribute of kingship is what I was talking about earlier. When you surrender yourself completely and you know that the Eibishter is in charge of everything in your life, that's kingship. Because then you belong to him. You're totally under him because you realize that every single thing, gratitude, he says, is kingship. You're totally surrendered to him. He says, because Leah, the Nimtza, she'oived la'Hashem yizbarach b'midas malchus. Then you're serving Hashem with the attribute of kingship. Ozai, when you do that, nimshach hashpa gamkein memidas malchus. The hashpa also comes, you open up the faucet of malchus, and the flow of malchus is flowing to you when you do that. And since Leah at that time said, Oidas Hashem, when Yehuda was born, she was into malchus, she was into gratitude. So that's why she was mamshech, hear these words. She was mamshech, v'umidas malchus, moshcha ala shevet. She drew down on her tribe, hanoilad gamkein, hashpas melucha, a hashpa of malchus, b'shvil zeh, for this reason, haya Yehuda melech, v'Dovid u'Shloimo were kings, ad chamisha asa doiros, until 15 generations, mishevet Yehuda haya malachim, u'melech Moshiach yeh mishevet Yehuda mizera Dovid. And again, here it's small words, but there it was. That was the whole page. That was what I went. My eyes fell on, and I said, if I needed a sign that there's something that's necessary now to bring Shefa Melucha, for Melech HaMashiach to be able to be king, we need thousands of signatures. We need to be able to walk into the Rebbe. I don't know exactly which. Let's do it as soon as we can with a golden, literally made out of gold box with papers of Jews across the world who sign and say, Rebbe, we give ourselves over to you. Now is the time. We've been waiting. So in the morning, I call my guy and I'm thinking, and I say, how many do we have? And he tells me, oh, whatever. The video I think is too long, 25 minutes. It's an ADD generation. No one. So I'm thinking, okay, now I have to remember, what am I going to do now? I think I'm sitting, I didn't daven a word today, Shachris. The whole time I'm thinking about this. I davened, but my head is spinning. What am I doing? I said, maybe I should do a 60-second video. A 60-second video, just shtus the kedusha. This is what we're going to do. If you want more intelligence to this craziness, listen to the other talk. Whatever, I was going to think of what I'm going to do. Anyway, I need everybody's advice to help me do this. But then I was thinking that I set Tu B'Shvat, maybe it's too fast. Maybe I should set my goals like this. Tu B'Shvat, we should have 5,000 signatures. Give the Rebbe something. Chav Bei Shvat, let's work to have 22,000. And for Yud Alef Nisan, let's have 100,000. Then I said, who knows? Maybe if this thing goes viral, we can get 600,000. You realize it's the easiest thing. And I say in it, you should put on a garatel. Realize you're not just making a joke over here. You're seriously giving yourself over to a leader. And you're accepting it upon yourself deeply. And sign your name with your mother's name. And fine. I had that thought. I came here after you jolted me awake. And I came here to speak to the boys. And I was in your classroom with the boys. I went outside waiting for an Uber. And I was thinking to myself, is that a cop-out? That I'm giving myself more time, 3 months. I'm giving myself till Yud Alef Nisan to get the signatures. And then I should do it? If this is not, I don't know. I don't know what's a sign. My friend, Zali Munitz, I don't know where. Yesterday he signed, he got the signature, sends me this WhatsApp. WhatsApp these days is the coolest. The way the Eibishter talks to you is only through WhatsApp these days. It's his favorite way of getting through. I'm saying there what? The Rebbe says, this year, since there's an extra month, because it's another, so it gives you an extra month, 3 months, from Yud Alef Shevat. Today is Yud Alef Shevat when we launched the campaign, until Yud Alef Nisan, to fulfill the achlata. And why did I get it? Why did he send it to me? And it was just crazy. I said, this is a sign. So hopefully everybody will help me. We got to put this out, get them out everywhere, send them out. The explanation I think is, here I was a little fired up, but the explanation when I talk in the video is very happy and very exciting and very beautiful and very friendly and very in a good mood, and everybody, it's really good. There's no dinim, no judgment. There's only freilichkeit. So I think it's we have to get everybody. Let's get thousands of people signing. It could be the job that it takes to bring Moshiach is not. It's easier than we think it is. It's alle zusammen. We're ready with the Rebbe's Malchus, and we're here, and we're ready to be makabel p'nei Moshiach tzedkenu. May it be right now. And with that, we will all say, Yechi Adonenu, V'Reinu, V'Rabbeinu, Melech HaMoshiach, Le'olam V'ed.